I'm joined this week by Scotty Hasting. Him and I met, so many months back at an event for Creative Vets, which was super awesome. But I'm really just excited to have you guys get to know Scotty more and hear his wild story and experiences. So Scotty, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We are going to dive in so quick to
let's do it.
Your story, because Creative Vets is kind of the end of your story of what really started this journey. I want to hear the beginning.
Yeah.
What got this all started, why you're even in that group in the first place, like your background.
Yeah.
And what got you to where you are today, kind of.
Yeah. It's insane. So I grew up in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. And I was playing baseball at the time, semi-pro baseball. I was making a little bit of money, not a whole lot. And I made the decision one day that I wanted to be a part of something that meant something, be a part of something bigger than myself. And I decided that I was going to go and enlist in the Army. And so I did. And when I got there, it's so funny. Like, I got there and I was like, man, I just want to fight. Like, to me, a soldier is someone who goes over and fights. Like, that's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. And I should have played harder to get, because come to find out there was a signing bonus, but they did. Of course, the recruiter didn't tell me when I went to join, because he was like, "Oh, this guy wants to be like, heck yeah."
You didn't get the signing bonus?
No, I didn't get the
because
signing
you
bonus,
wanted
but
to be
everyone
there?
else who actually got recruited got a signing bonus, except for me. I'm like, man, come on.
How many years did it take for you to find out about that?
Oh, it was at basic training when I found out that everyone else was getting a signing bonus. Yeah, someone had said something about it. They were like, oh, I got half the money before I left and helped out my family, and then I get the rest of the half when I graduate basic. And I was like, what? It's like that meme where like, wait, you guys are getting paid? It was
You
that.
literally were
it was
that meme.
Absolutely 100% that meme.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane.
So you wanted to do this.
Yeah, I wanted to. I felt like I needed to be a part of something that meant something. I was living a life where I just felt like I needed to do something, and so I joined the Army. I went to Fort Benning for basic training, which is the home of the infantry, and graduated basic training. And probably 3 months after graduating basic training, I was in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very quick, very quick. When I got to my unit, they were like, "Hey, you guys know we're deploying, right?" I was like, "Oh, okay."
Was that kind of a shock when it first happened? You're like, I knew I wanted this,
Yeah.
but also that's happening a lot quicker than I expected.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you go in and you're like, okay, I'm going to go to my first duty station. I'm going to be there for a little bit. I'm going to train. I'm going to, hang out with all the guys, whatever. And then you get there and they're like, oh yeah, we're deploying in like a couple months. I was like, okay, like, dang, wasn't expecting it to be that fast.
Yeah. And when you get that notice of deployment, are you aware of what situation you're going into?
Yeah, a little bit. For a while there, it was that we were going to go to Iraq, and then we were going to go somewhere else, and then they finally decided Afghanistan is where we're going, and then that was probably a month before we left. So we knew going into it, like, we were going to Afghanistan. We didn't really know what part of Afghanistan yet. We didn't know that until right before we left, but yeah, we knew it was going to be Afghanistan.
So then you get there. And how long are you over in Afghanistan for?
I was in Afghanistan for 3 months before I got shot.
So this all happened on your first ever deployment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to hold my reaction and comments until you continue this.
Yeah, no,
it
was insane. We were there for 3 months. We were there in 2010, 2011, the end of 2010 into beginning of 2011, and that was a rough time in Afghanistan. I mean, we were in the Kandahar province, which is the southern part of Afghanistan, was a very rough part of Afghanistan. And we were in firefights every day and losing people, and it was hard. But yeah, 3 months in, we were on patrol, April 21st, 2011, and I walked up on a guy who had a rifle behind his back, and he just started spraying. And he was maybe 15 feet from me, and he ended up hitting me 10 times total. So yeah, it was like kind of up my body this way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember as this was happening and the events that followed? Or were you kind of coming in and out?
Yeah, no, I was awake the whole time. I remember, the only thing that I don't remember is falling on the ground. I remember getting shot. I remember how it felt. And then I remember waking up on the ground. I don't remember that at all. But I do remember being on the ground and trying to crawl over to my guys because me getting shot was the start of an ambush. So not only did I get shot, but now they're getting shot at also. So it was a whole thing, and I was trying to crawl over to them, but I was really bad off, so I just couldn't get to them.
When everything finally stopped, because I'm assuming that's what happened, then you get transported somewhere?
Yeah, I go from finally the fire starts. The fire stops. The guy who shot me, his gun jammed, and that's the reason why he stopped shooting me. And I guess he looked up as he was trying to fix the jam and realized that I was still alive. And I pointed my rifle at him, and that's when he dropped his rifle and took off running. And then so he took off running, but my squad is still getting shot at. And then all that subsides. It felt like a lifetime, but it was probably only a couple minutes. Then that happens, and in between the firefight that's happening, my medic runs to me and he starts working on me. And then from there, we go back to the Kandahar airfield once the helicopter gets there and picks me up. But I had lost so much blood at one point in time that my eyesight started shutting down, and it was just kind of like a white film that I saw. It's crazy. I attribute that to like when people say I see the light, like that's kind of what that is. I feel like, it's just kind of like parts of your body are shutting down, and my eyesight was the first to go. And yeah, so, I eventually got to the Kandahar airfield and then went into, the initial trauma room where the doctors were working on me, trying to figure everything out. And they immediately started hooking me up to blood, started getting blood pumping back into my body. And when that happened, I started getting my eyesight back. And I remember saying like, hey, I can see, like my eyesight's coming back. It's a little fuzzy, but I can see you guys. And then that's when I heard a lady lean down and say, hey, it's okay for you to go to sleep now. Like I fought like hell to try to stay awake the whole time. I remember like how easy it felt to just kind of like drift away, like how easy it would have been to just like kind of just give up and push it and just drift away. And I remember fighting that feeling from the time that they picked me up in the gurney until I was in the hospital at Kandahar Airfield. And so the lady leaned down, she said, hey, it's okay for you to go to sleep. And I was out like that.
Why do you feel like you were fighting so hard? Like what was going through your mind that you can maybe recall that was continuing to push you to fight?
Yeah, it was just the fact that I just felt like I wasn't ready to give up. I just felt like I wasn't, there was still a lot of life. It's crazy. When I was laying down on the ground and I was bleeding, I was like, man, there's still so much that I want to do. Like I can't die here. There's so much that I want to do still. And I just remember fighting. And the most amazing part about it is, going into basic training, you find out that, in all the different combat lifesaver things that you do, they tell you that going into shock is going to be, it's a killer. Like if you go into shock, it's the number one killer of combat injuries. If you get injured or you're missing a limb or whatever, if you go into shock, more than likely you're not going to come back from that. So I fought to just try to stay calm, try to stay as calm and cool as possible, to the point of where like I was trying to just make jokes with my buddies that were, part with me, that were there, and kudos to them because they were picking up what I was trying to do and they were just joking around with me, and the medic and those guys, I mean, they saved my life just doing that, just making me stay calm as much as possible.
Scotty, that's incredibly impressive. Also just heartbreaking, but so impressive that you could stay calm after that just happened to you. Did you realize how many times you had been hit at that moment?
No, I knew that I was really bad off. I didn't know how bad. I knew that, my hand and everything, my whole arm was completely numb. My leg, I remember when I got shot, I felt all of it. So whoever says that adrenaline kicks in is a liar. Because like, that's not true. I felt all of it. But no, I mean, I remember just the pain, and I was like, man, like this, with how much pain I'm in, I have to be really bad off. And I was missing a part of my hip where like the guy said that whenever they first came to me to work on my hip, you could see like the joint of my hip, like the ball joint. And because all of that muscle and all of that tissue and everything was just ripped away by bullets. And I'm missing part of my armpit because of where it hit me in the brachial plexus also. And it's just, yeah, it was really bad off, and I knew it was bad off. And especially by the way that the medic reacted when he first came to me, I was like, oh, okay, this is really bad.
And yet you're still here and you're staying calm and you're cracking jokes.
Yeah, I'm still trying to stay as calm as possible. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do in that situation. I mean, that's literally the only thing that I could do, was just try to stay calm and try to fight that feeling of just drifting off and going away.
So you get to the hospital, they start doing all of this work on you. What are the events that follow after that hospital visit?
The most incredible thing of this whole story is that lady that leaned down and said, it's okay for you to go to sleep. I talked to a guy who was in that room that day, and there were no women in that room that day.
Wow.
So whoever that was, whoever came into my head and said, it's okay for you to go to sleep, it's okay for you to let go, we got you. Whoever that was, I don't know who it was, but then there was no women in that room that night.
Does that feel like eerie too? And you're trying to place maybe potentially who that was?
Yeah,
for you?
I mean, it still gives me goosebumps. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. There's a voice I've never heard before, and it was just, it was literally like, hey, it's okay for you to go to sleep. We got you. We'll take care of you. And then I just passed out.
It's crazy what happens with your body and with your mind when stuff like that's happening.
Absolutely.
Just you sitting here talking about trying to stay really calm, but then also this happening. Yeah. Like, it's just crazy the things and the events that surround a really traumatic experience like that.
Absolutely. It's insane, man. And I remember, so that happened. We got all that done. I went to sleep and I woke up like a day later. And I was still in Kandahar and we were getting ready to move. They asked me where I wanted to go, if I wanted to go to Walter Reed or if I wanted to go to BAMC, which is in San Antonio. I'd never heard of BAMC, and they talked about BAMC being mainly for like burn people. Okay. And I was like, well, I'm not burnt and I've never heard of BAMC, but I've heard of Walter Reed. Like, I'll go there. Why not? That's cool. And so went there, but they take you from Kandahar into Landstuhl, Germany. But between those two, they lost pulse in my arm and they thought they were going to have to take my arm. And they had to make an emergency stop in Bagram. And they ended up taking a vein out of my right leg and replacing the artery in my arm, which is crazy. Wow. They can even do that, because I don't know what health class they went to, but the one that I went to said that arteries and veins are completely different. Yeah. But apparently a vein will grow into an artery, which is crazy, or at least grow into what it needs to be. It's insane.
It sounds like you were in the right place with the right person.
100%.
To do what needed to be done.
Absolutely. Because like I said, I mean, they lost pulse in my arm and they thought they were going to have to take the arm. Like they just thought like, hey, like the arm's dying. We just have to get rid of it. But luckily there was a doctor that said, nope, I got something I can do, and that, thank God, I still have it.
Yeah. Do you have full like feeling and stuff?
No, I have no feeling from basically my elbow down. I have this much movement in this hand. These 3 fingers just kind of sit there. But yeah, I mean, it's something I've lived with for a while now.
And we get into in a little bit, you play an instrument. Mm-hmm. And does that change anything for you?
Yeah. I was lucky enough that when I started learning guitar, I didn't know how to play guitar until like before this. Because I feel like if I knew how to play guitar before this, I would have been like, this is stupid. I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I would have gotten upset and I would have gotten frustrated and just quit. Because it does change a lot. There's a lot of learning curves that happen with having nerve damage in your hand trying to learn how to play the guitar.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. And it was, so they patched me up. They got my arm still fine in Bagram, and then I got to Landstuhl, Germany. And then when I got to Bagram is when I actually finally got to call my family. So for the longest time, they were told, Scotty got hit. He got shot a bunch of times. He's in intensive care. We don't really know what's going to happen or what's happening. Like it's touch and go. We don't know.
And what is that time frame?
That's 2 days where my family's like just trying to figure out if I'm even alive.
Oh my gosh.
And then, and then I get to Bagram and they do that procedure, and that's when I call my mom and I'm like, hey, like I'm good. I'm still here. I'm alive for now, at least. And then that's when she heard my voice. I called my wife at the time, and it was it was crazy. I mean, for the longest time, they didn't even know if I was still alive.
Well, and just like when you were having that experience where you're like, this felt like years for them, I'm sure it was that
100%.
same where it was like every minute just clicked as they were just waiting for that phone call.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I couldn't imagine now that I have kids, I couldn't imagine being on that end and just wondering if my child's alive. Like, I couldn't even imagine the feeling.
Have you ever talked to your mom about that moment in time?
Oh yeah. We've done different like documentaries and stuff like that. We did a VA documentary that she talks about it and stuff, and we've had conversations about it. And yeah, it's rough. It's really rough to hear her talk about it and to hear my brother and my dad talk about it. I mean, it's a completely different experience than what I experienced.
Well, and it's not ever something, I don't feel like anybody who chooses to join the Army by choice, right? Like you choose, you're like, this is what I want to do. I don't think you're thinking in that moment, well, my family is going to have to potentially get a phone call someday. That's not what you're considering.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you volunteer, especially volunteering into the infantry, like you have an idea that something could happen, but you don't ever want to think about it. You don't ever want to think that could happen. And then it does. And you're like, what do I do now? Like and that's, I think more so for the family, it's harder because this wasn't a decision they made. This was a decision that I made. And now they're just kind of having to deal with the consequences of it. And it's just, it was rough.
I could imagine, but on all of you guys, but particularly you're the one who's going through this entire experience. Yeah. So you're in Germany, you make that phone call. When do you finally make it back to the States? Yeah,
so I was in Landstuhl for about another day. I think it was about another day. They were basically just trying to make sure that I could make the trip from Germany to the United States. Which, before we go any further, whoever picks the nurses that go to Landstuhl, Germany, deserves a medal because they are beautiful. So whoever did that, shout out to you, whoever it was.
Are they nurses within like the U.S. Army, or are they? Yeah,
a little bit of both. So in Landstuhl, you have the German nurses, and then you have nurses that are also still part of the United States Army, and then you have nurses who are from the U.S. that they get paid to go overseas and be nurses in hospitals like that.
Yeah, well, shout out if you're in Landstuhl.
100%.
There's something about you, apparently.
Absolutely, you're great. But yeah, so I went from there. I went from Landstuhl. I finally got to Walter Reed, and that was that was where like the fight really started. Was to that's where I had to learn how to rewalk again. I had to learn how to do everything left-handed instead of right-handed. And that was when like I had to do all the PT, the occupational therapy, all the different therapies. And and then that was when the first time that my family got to see me also. And the hardest part for them was I was hooked up to wound vacs, which are like the things that help keep your wounds clean. And I was hooked up to like four different ones. And my mom said that when she first walked in, she thought that those machines were keeping me alive. And she said that it scared the crap out of her.
Well, yeah, and she's seen 4 different machines, and then she's seen you hooked up to all kinds of other stuff, and she's like, is this permanent? Like, what's happening to my son?
Yeah, she didn't really know. She didn't know what those were. I mean, you don't know what a wound vac is until you get in that situation, and then you're like, oh, that's what that, okay. But yeah, I mean, she said when she first walked in, like her, my dad, and my brother were all like, is he gonna live through this? Like, what? And they didn't know, but I was fine. I was alive. Like I was good.
Well, and you gave the phone call, and they're probably like, okay, he's alive. That's good. Yeah, we're good.
100%.
They're probably not anticipating what that meant.
No, not at all. They were definitely not anticipating what they saw when they walked into the hospital. And but they were troopers, man. They stayed strong, and it was.
How long were you there for?
I was inpatient for a month, and then I was outpatient at Walter Reed, but still living on the campus for 6 months.
Wow.
But inpatient, that was every other day. I was going under anesthesia, and they were cleaning my wounds every other day for a month.
You had to go under anesthesia every other day?
Every other day, yeah.
Just to clean the wounds that you had?
Yeah, because it would have been far too painful to not do it.
So after that month of having that same experience over and over and over, were you just...
Yeah, I mean, it was just a blur. It really was. I mean, it was you just get into like, okay, well, this is what my life is now, and you just kind of, at first there's like different stages. I feel like, you get there and you're like, for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to get nursed back to health and I'm going to go back over there. I'm going to be with my guys. Like I'm going to go back over. Like that's the plan. And then and then at Walter Reed, that was slowly started deteriorating. Okay, I'm not going to be able to go back over because this is worse than I thought. And then it goes to, accepting that, okay, well, this is my life now. And then it's, you get a little pissed off sometimes and you're like, well, why? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go back to sleep tomorrow. Like it is, but it's what you need to do. I mean, it's hard. It's a hard life to live in a hospital bed.
Well, and that's so much of why I wanted to bring you on, Scotty, because those experiences that you have are unfortunately not uncommon. Your situation and then what happened to you is very solo and it's all yours.
Yeah, well, but thank God, because I don't recommend it.
I hope not. But there's so many men and women like you who choose to serve, and they come out of serving with horribly traumatic situations that happen to them. And the things that happen to you guys after is really what gets lost, right? Yeah. Here's your story. Mm-hmm. This is what happened to you. This is what everybody always wants to know.
Yeah.
But who's Scotty after that? Yeah. And what happens to Scotty after that moment in time where everybody's paying attention, the support is all there, everybody's doing all the things, and you go through the 6 months. Yeah. But then after.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a moment when I was at Walter Reed where I had to redefine what my life was going to look like and what I was going to look like. There was a time when, I was married at the time and we were at one point in time, she had gotten pregnant and we were expecting a baby. And I'm like, how do I change a diaper? Like, how do I live my life? Like, how do I take care of another person when I can barely even take care of myself? And, there were a lot of moments like that where you just had to kind of make the decision that you were just going to figure it out. And, for a long time at Walter Reed, for probably 3 months while I was there, I was in that rut of just kind of feeling sorry for myself for so long. And then, something happened. There was a moment when I was at Walter Reed that kind of changed everything. And, we were at an event at Walter Reed and there was and at these different events, like they always held these events to kind of like build camaraderie between all the broke veterans that were there. And,
you say it like that and that even sounds bad. You're like, broke veterans.
But no, I mean, it was great. It was great to have that. It was great to have a community. That was one of the most amazing things about Walter Reed is that there is a community of people there. And everyone is suffering. Some of us were worse than others. But at the end of the day, we all went through something horrific. And we're all there and we're all kind of bonding in this trauma. And it was amazing, but there was a moment when we were at this event and I overheard a song that they were playing in the background. They always played music in the background. And there was a song that came on and it was a song that was cut by Trace Atkins called Till the Last Shot's Fired. And Trace Atkins originally cut it. And it was the first time I'd ever heard this song. And I kind of heard it out of the corner of my, just kind of in the background. And then it was like, I locked into it. I don't know what happened, but something just drew me into the song. And after the song was over, like I cried for a baby for 2 hours and I couldn't stop myself. And in those 2 hours, that was when I made the decision that I was going to live my life to the fullest and I wasn't going to let my injury dictate my life. And I was going to live for my best friends who would never have the opportunity. And yeah, that song came back around full circle and a little bit later that we can talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that for sure. But wow, talk about a defining moment when you're really struggling. And do you feel like that was the first time as you hear the song and you talk about crying for 2 hours after, was that really the first time where everything just kind of, all the emotions and everything you'd been experiencing for the last several months just kind of came to a head?
100%. That was, those 2 hours of crying was 100% like, understanding that, life is different now. And, while I'm here at Walter Reed, I'm also hearing about my best friends being killed. And there was just so much at Walter Reed. But it was like, it was times, I guess in that moment, it was like everything finally slowed down. And I was able to like all the emotions, everything just kind of came rushing in. And I was able to really think about what just happened. what life looks like moving forward. And it was just an overwhelming sense of emotion that just, I couldn't help it.
What would you hope for someone like me who's never had that experience, or maybe somebody who's never heard of a story like yours? Like, what's something that you hope they can come away with understanding for someone in an experience like yours, or even somebody who chooses to fight in the Army, any of the above?
Yeah.
But just maybe something that helps them understand, maybe have more empathy, understanding of situations and things that you go through.
You know, I mean, I don't know. It's so hard to be empathetic with someone if you've never experienced what they experience. You know what I mean? Like that's something that I feel like the world is kind of understanding now. And, but at the same time, I mean, you know, loss is loss. You know, I lost some of my best friends, and that still sticks to me. And, you know, the survivor's guilt behind that still is something I still try to deal with. And, you know, at the end of the day, trauma is trauma, and trauma is relative, but anyone who experiences it different ways. And, you know, I think that it's important for everyone to understand that, you know, just be like, there's a lot of people that are like, man, I got hurt, but it wasn't anything like you. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, trauma is trauma. Like, it doesn't matter that you weren't hurt as bad as me. You experienced something. It was relative to your life. It changed your life. Like, it doesn't matter if it was if it was as bad as me or not, you know, or, yeah. At the end of the day, we're all in this, and, you know, at the end of the day, like, it hurts regardless. And at the end of the day, you have to find a new way to live life.
You mentioned that survivor's guilt. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of you guys struggle with that because you're really experiencing a very sharp contrast between life and death. Mm-hmm. Does the survivor's guilt happen, obviously, in the moment when you find out, but throughout the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's still something I struggle with on a daily basis. You know, it's actually pretty amazing. I was able to create events. I was able to link up with them and write a song about my survivor's guilt. And when I signed my record deal with Black River Entertainment, it was the first single that I ever put out called "How Do You Choose?" And you know, because with my music and with all that, I've only ever I want to help people that are struggling. I want to use either my story or my music or something and try to help someone who's struggling and understand that there's so much more, you know, that you can go through all of this bad and you can come out on the other side and do things that you never thought possible. And, you know, and there, with that though, I had to put out songs that were very much me opening my chest and letting people see my heart and my soul. And that song is still the hardest song I've ever written, and it's the hardest song that I ever perform, and it's truly a song about my survivor's guilt and my best friends who never came home, and why did I get to after getting shot 10 times, and they didn't.
Do you still keep in contact with any of those families?
Oh, 100%. My best friend, Adam Hamilton, his mom is one of my dearest friends. I love her so much. It's actually amazing. I made my Grand Ole Opry debut not too long ago, and at that debut, I played a song from Forrest Gump, which was "Fortunate Son." It was amazing. It was so much fun. And then I played that song, "How Do You Choose?" And that song is about my best friend, Adam Hamilton, who was killed. And Adam Hamilton's family was in the crowd that night. And it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever felt. And it was cool because, like, after you make your debut, like, you go into the circle room and you get like this little debut party, and all of Adam's family was there. And it was so cool to, like, just experience this moment with them. And it was even more amazing because I had never met some of them. So it was cool to be like, hey man, like, so great to meet you. Like, how do you choose? Like, makes me feel connected to Adam again. And, like, just to, like, understand that, like, this thing that I put out that was so personal to me, like, that it touches them and makes them feel something. I mean, that's amazing.
You're making me feel, I'm like getting all teary-eyed just even hearing the story of this and how you use such difficult moments in your life to connect with others, which is what this podcast is all about, was trying to help people feel less alone in their struggles. And veterans and people who are in our military are such a huge part of the population. And you are the perfect first guest for this to share your story. And I just, like, Scotty, it's so incredible watching what you've done, because here everybody's heard your story. This is what happened. And you take this moment in time, and then you're doing what you do now, which is making music, being an artist, you're working with creative vets, like give that kind of background too, because that's now the big part of your story.
Yeah. I mean, this is honestly, the music part of it was the most unexpected of all of it, if I'm going to be real. So after all my injury and everything, I went back to Fort Riley and in Kansas because my guys were coming back.
Which that's where I'm from, right? Kansas?
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
I went to Manhattan, Kansas for college. So Fort Riley.
K-State.
Heck, I even did news segments at Fort Riley. I was crawling in the barbed wire.
Heck, that's awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. But yeah, so I went back to Fort Riley because my guys were coming back. I had to be there, which is crazy because a lot of times, like people who go to Walter Reed, like that's where their story ends. Like they go to Walter Reed, they get out of the military, they medically retired out of the military. So for me to be like, hey, I want to go back to Fort Riley and be there when my guys get there. No one at Walter Reed knew how to make that happen because it never happened before. No one has ever done that. So it basically took an act of Congress. Luckily, my congressman was an ex-Ranger, and he said, yeah, you need to be there. And so he wrote up a letter and stuff and made it work. But I went back. That's
incredible, by the way. That's just awesome that happened, but also crazy that, to your point, that it took an act of Congress.
Yeah. Oh, it was
for
insane.
That to happen.
I mean, my congressman had to write a letter just for me to be able to go back to my duty station and see my guys. But yeah, so I was there. I went back to Fort Riley, and they all came back, and we were there for a while. But while I was there, I was lucky enough to find adaptive sports. I played sports my whole life growing up. Sports was our world. That's what we did. And so when I got to Fort Riley, they were like, adaptive sports is what we're really pushing right now. We feel like it's really going to help. It's going to help you get an escape, whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's try it. I'll try everything you got on this list. And I did. And the one that really stuck with me was archery. And so to the point of where, it's crazy because I'm right-handed. So I went to my first archery clinic ever to learn how to shoot archery. And the guy was like, all right, what are you left-handed, right-handed? And I'm like, I'm right-handed, but this hand, I have no feeling and it doesn't really work. Like, he's like, that's all right. We'll strap a release to this hand. You'll be fine. And then I found out 3 arrows later into the ceiling that not having feeling in the hand that has the trigger on it is a bad thing. Mm-hmm.
Scotty, I've even done archery and I do have full feeling and it's even a disaster.
Well, it was to the point where the guy was like, listen, you're a liability. Like, stop shooting archery.
You're like, I did tell you.
Yeah, I was like, man, lying. We had this conversation. I don't know what you want. But I'm way too hard-headed for him to tell me I can't do it. So I was like, man, there's got to be a way to do it. And I remember him saying, the hand that's holding the bow just kind of sits there. That's all it does. And I was like, well, this hand, that's all it does anyhow. Like, what if I just switched to left-handed? So I went back the next day, and as soon as I walked up, he immediately was like, no. Like, why are you here? I told you you're a liability. You have to go. Like, you can't do it. And I was like, no, just hear me out. Just hear me out, man. Like, what if I try this left-handed? And so we did, and I found an amazing escape and an amazing purpose in archery to the point of where I eventually got recruited by the U.S. Paralympic Committee, and I started shooting and representing the United States in the Paralympic program all throughout the United States. And I did that for...
Hold on. Wow.
Yeah.
Scotty, you just like low-key like, okay.
Yeah, it was...
That's incredible.
It was amazing. And it was, I did that for 6 years. I mean, I shot professionally. I got paid by the VA and by others to shoot, and that's what I did. That was my job. And it was amazing because for the 7 seconds before that arrow releases, the PTSD, the depression, the anxiety, all that disappeared. And I was able to focus on just one thing. And I lived for those 7 seconds. For 6 years, I lived for those 7 seconds. And then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, the world shut down, which means that my therapy, my escape got taken away from me. And there, and when it gets quiet is when the demon's not the loudest, and COVID was very quiet. And I needed something. I was struggling. I was really going into a place that I had been before and I didn't want to be anymore. And I had a guitar in the corner of my room, and one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to play this thing. Like I'm just gonna jump on YouTube and I'm gonna figure out how to play this. So I did. I jumped on YouTube and I deep dove into learn how to play the guitar. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into having to learn with a disability how to play the guitar. And again, thank God I didn't know how to play before, because I would have gotten just pissed off and been like, I'm done. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But it was, and for me, like I figured that learning how to play the guitar was going to be hard enough to where it's something that I'm truly going to have to focus all my time into. Like, I'm really going to have to escape into this and figure out how to do this. And it gave me a new escape. It let me escape from the PTSD and the depression and the anxiety that I was feeling at that time. And the best way for me to learn was I started learning how to play songs I grew up listening to. I am a 90s country kid through and through. 90s country is the best time for country music, in my opinion. And
you're not wrong. It's not a controversial one, so you are safe.
There we go. Perfect.
You are safe here.
But I grew up.
By the way, what's your number one? Like, what's the first song you were like, I have to learn this song?
Oh, the first song I ever learned how to play was "Should Have Been Cowboy" by Toby Keith.
Oh, yeah, fantastic song.
Yeah, I love that song. But I started learning how to play songs that I grew up listening to, because I knew if it didn't sound right, I had to fix something. And there's plenty of YouTube videos out there to teach you how to play it. So I started learning songs that I grew up listening to. And then from there, I was like, okay, like, I'm learning how to play the guitar. This is really cool. Like, but I still have all these feelings, and I still have all these thoughts, and I still have all these emotions that are just overwhelming. And I need to find a way to stop this cup from overflowing. I need to figure out a way to kind of pour some out of this cup a little bit. And that's when I discovered songwriting. I don't know what I thought. I don't know. I thought songs just kind of came out of nowhere. It was just like God just gave them to people. I don't know.
Like the stork and the babies.
Yeah,
they just drop it on your front porch.
I don't know why I never thought that songwriting was a thing. It was just like people had these songs, and here you go. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. But then I discovered songwriting, and I was like, well, I want to learn how to do this. Like, I can just take these emotions and these feelings and I can throw them somewhere. So I jumped on YouTube and I started learning how to write songs, and I started learning how songs are structured and how you go from a verse to a chorus to a bridge, and then how all this comes together and becomes one piece of work. And I found a new escape in learning how to write, and I found a new escape in getting these emotions and these feelings that I was truly struggling with and putting them somewhere else. I was able to take them out of myself and throw them into something else, which was a lifesaver, truly a lifesaver for me. And
you created your own therapy.
Yeah.
With what you were teaching yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because songwriting is a form of journaling.
Oh, 100%.
You're expressing how you're feeling. It's just almost giving it a prettier look.
Yeah. Well, I don't know pretty. Feelings. I mean, they were not songs. they were not good.
They were thoughts and feelings.
They were not good. It was really just like word vomit put onto a piece of paper that I could then like put somewhere else. And I needed that. And it was exactly what I needed when I needed it. And it was amazing. And then, from there, I just really deep dove into music in general and all the types of music. And then from there, the world started opening up a little bit, and I went to an open mic night in Cookeville, Tennessee at Red Silo Brewing Company. And I don't know why I did it. I just decided, screw it, I'm going to go. Why not? And I know songs now, so why not go sing one? Why not? Let's give it a shot. And I went up there. I put my name on the list. There was like 4 people there, because it's still COVID time and everyone thinks that everyone's going to die when you meet each other. And I was like, well, 4 people here, like, what do I have to lose? Like, what are they? 4 people are going to make fun of me?
Probably better that way, right? You're like, this is easy. Yeah. I can do this.
4 people are going to make fun of me? Cool. Like, I don't care. I don't live here in Cookeville. I'll be fine. But yeah, so I went up there and I played the first song I ever learned how to play, Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby Keith. And in that moment, like, that escape that I had found in archery, that sense of purpose that I had found, that therapy that I had found in everything else before was there, but it was magnified 100 times. And in that moment, that's when the stage became a sanctuary for me. And then it went, and then I was hooked. And because in archery for 7 seconds, nothing else in the world matters except for being in that moment. When I'm playing a song or I'm playing a show, for 3 minutes, now nothing in the world matters except for being in that moment. To the point of now where when I play a show and I'm playing an hour-long show, nothing in the world matters except for me being in that moment for an hour. And I lived for that. To the point of where I would go to all different open mic nights all around Nashville. And then Nashville started opening up a little bit, and I had heard through some of the other guys at the open mic nights that down on Broadway, you can play 3 to 4 hours at a time. I was like, whoa, wait. Tell me for 3 to 4 hours a day, I can like be rid of the PTSD and the depression and the anxiety. I can live in a moment for 3 to 4 hours a day. I want to do that. So I walked up and down Broadway for a month, bugging the crap out of people until they lit me on a stage, and to the point of where I was playing 6 shows a night, or I was playing 6 shows a week. I would play a show every night, 3 to 4 hours at a time. My vocal cords hated me, but the therapy that I got from it was more than I could have ever imagined. I mean, I was able to live in a moment for 3 to 4 hours, and for someone who suffers from PTSD, depression, and anxiety, being able to find a moment where you can live in that moment is magic.
Do you feel like those experiences every single night as you were having them allowed you then to heal during the other 23 hours of the day that you weren't doing that?
100%. Because I knew that no matter what I was struggling with, I was going to have that outlet. No matter what was happening, no matter all the hard that I was dealing with throughout the day, I knew that there was going to be an escape. And I knew that for 3 to 4 hours, I was going to be able to get rid of this, and I was going to be able to get away from it. And it kind of kept me moving, right? It kept me understanding that there's going to be something that's going to help me get over whatever I'm dealing with at this time. And yeah, so I live for that. You know, I live for the 3 to 4 hours at a time, and then you know, it was crazy. I always say it, you know, that when I'm on stage, like, you're watching therapy happen in person, like you're truly actively watching it, because that's what it is for me. And it's so crazy. Like, I don't know how it all happened, you know, where I am now and all that. I mean, it's just insane. I'm more blessed than I could have ever imagined I would be. You know, but for those 3 to 4 hours, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter who was in the room. It didn't matter anything else. All that mattered was that I was on that stage and that I was playing that music, and I was being able to live in a moment. I mean, it didn't matter if there was 300 people in a full bar down on Broadway, or if I was just playing for the bartenders. I was just there for myself, for my therapy. And you know, but at the same time, like, I'm so glad that I went to Broadway, and I'm so glad that I played down on Broadway, because it taught me so much about being an artist and about being a performer and about being able to connect with people. And because, I mean, Broadway will humble you. Like, one day you're playing for a packed room and everyone's having a great time, and the next day you're playing for the bartenders and hoping someone walks in the door.
Yep.
You know, and it'll humble you real quick, but you know, at the end of the day, you really have to love it. And it made me find a true love for music and a true love for performing.
You know, Scotty, just listening to you over just the course of all of your stories, I think a lot of it is also a testament to your character and who you are as a person, which you've probably never given yourself the credit for, but you couldn't do and have survived a lot of the things that you've gone through without being who you are. Yeah. And you're an incredible person, and you did that. Like, you created this. I know you're like, I have no idea how I am where I am right now, but like, you did this, and you created all of that. Yeah. Just hearing you talk about it. And I know, like, I can sit here and see your bigger picture. Yeah. You're in it. Yeah. So it's harder to see when you're in it, but you did all that. That was all you.
Yeah. I think it was just the necessity of it all. You know, I needed something. You know, I've lost way too many buddies here in the States, and I wasn't going to be another one of them. And I needed something. I mean, I have kids. I have things I have to live for. And I needed the necessity of needing to find something outweighed anything. It outweighed all the embarrassment that I could possibly feel going to that you know, that open mic night. It outweighed any of it. Yeah. And you know, and now I'm at a point in this career that has become a dream, and a career that I could only ever imagine I would be.
Yeah. And it's incredible, which is what I want you to share the 3 kind of stories, because you are now part of Creative Vets,
yes,
which is an awesome organization that employs veterans to write songs and do a lot within the music industry. But you have 3 really cool stories.
Yeah.
How I met you was that you were, if I remember correctly, there's a George Strait song connection type thing, or were you just there that night?
I was just there that night.
Okay, you were just hanging out for Creative Vets.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's 2 stories that I know for sure. But you were there. George Strait did an entire album with a lot of the Creative Vets, which was really cool. We were there for the art exhibit and the whole piece of that. But Dolly Parton's story and Trace Adkins' story.
Oh, man. You know, I'll tell another story that's pretty amazing. It's
Bring
a very
it on.
Nashville story.
Okay.
The way that I got discovered. Everyone always asks this. So So one day my mom was like, hey, I'm going to go buy a new car. I want you to come with me. I don't know anything about cars. I know nothing about cars.
Listen,
but
when you're a woman, you need a male accomplice for things because otherwise you get taken advantage of. So I know why your mom asked.
You know what's crazy? I was like, man, I don't know anything about cars, but I do know mom's probably going to buy lunch. So I'll go because I will never say no to free food. And so I went, and we were at this dealership, and her salesman was Michael Kerr, who is the son of the president and CEO of Black River Entertainment, Gordon Kerr. And we were talking about music and how I use music as a form of therapy, and he grew up in music, and how I use it as a form of therapy, and how I want to help people with my music and with my story. And you know, we talked for like an hour. I mean, my mom was supposed to be buying a car, and we're talking about music and all that stuff. She ended up buying the car, but yeah, we talked about music, and at the time I had like one song out just because I wanted to get a taste of what being in the studio was like, you know. And so he was like, man, the song's okay, but your story is amazing. Like, I'm going to send this to my dad, and I'm going to send it to Doug Johnson, the A&R guy at Black River. Like, I feel like they need to meet you. And I was like, yeah, man, like that would be incredible. Like, that's amazing. Like, please, like, holy crap. And he's like, you know, no promises. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, you know, but Nashville's full of people who talk and then nothing ever happens. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to get my hopes up. But 3 hours later, I got a call from Doug Johnson. He's like, hey man, we need to meet. And I was like, okay. And then, yeah, it's crazy, you know.
This is all because you went for free food. I
went for free food with my mom. You know, if your mom ever asks you to go somewhere, go, because you never know what could happen.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so I went into Black River, and I met Doug, and literally like 10 minutes into me telling my story, he was like, stop talking. Hold on. We need to go to Gordon's office, and you need to tell this story with Gordon there. And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know who Gordon is, but absolutely, let's do it. And so went in, told my story, talked about what I want to do with music and how I use music, and they were like, yeah, like, are you gonna, like, do you live here in Nashville? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, can you come back? But yeah, so I from then on out, I just started coming over, and I just started hanging out with Doug. And, you know, Doug is, not only did Doug Johnson write 3 Wooden Crosses, but he's the guy who kind of developed Blake Shelton into Blake Shelton. And I didn't know any of this when I first met him. And it's so funny looking back now, like, he took the time to, you know, talk to me and write with me and kind of develop me into who I am now. And it's so funny, for the longest time at Black River, I was just Doug's guy. No one knew who I was. No one had a name to put with my face. I was just Doug's guy. And yeah, and then a little bit later, I ended up signing a record deal with them and a publishing deal with them. And now I'm, you know, a recording artist, which is insane.
That's an incredibly awesome Nashville story.
Yeah,
I love a Nashville story.
I know,
I'm a sucker.
it's so and it's even crazier because stuff like that never really happens anymore. You know, it's just like, man, like that's crazy. But yeah, so the Trace Atkins story is wild. I mean, I told you that, you know, I heard this song and it changed everything for me. Fast forward 10 years, and I'm sitting in Doug Johnson's office talking about signing a record deal, and he's working with me to become an artist and all this other stuff. And he's like, hey man, there's a song that I wrote not too long ago, or there's a song I wrote a while ago, and me and Rob Crosby wrote it. And I don't know if you've heard it. It's a song called Till the Last Shot's Fired. Trace Atkins originally cut it. I don't know if you've heard it. And I was like, yeah, I know the song. Yeah, like that's, you know, I'm trying to stay cool and calm. And he's like, cool, you've heard it. Awesome. I'm glad you've heard it. Do you want to do a version of it? And I was like, yeah, man, I would love to do a version of it. You know, like, yeah.
How long did you keep your chill for?
Oh, not very long. But you know, I'm like, I would love to, like, I'm trying to stay calm and cool, but inside I'm jumping up and down like a little kid on Christmas morning, like, oh my God, you have no idea. But then, yeah, I was like, man, like, yeah. And then I think like after we finally finished, I finally told Doug like what that song actually meant to me. But we did a version of it, and it was amazing. And every feeling that I first felt when I heard that song, I put it into that song, and it was perfect. I thought, I mean, I was like, this song is incredible. And Doug was like, man, this is really great. Like, I love this version, your version where it's just you. It's amazing. But what do you think about reaching out to some other artists and seeing what happens? I'm like, send it to everybody. Like, yeah, man, like, who knows? And, you know, the first person who said yes was Lee Brice. And, you know, a testament to who Lee is. He has become an incredibly dear friend of mine now. But he basically sat down with us and he was like, man, I don't care what part I play in this song. I just want to be a part of what this is. Whatever you're doing here, I want to be a part of this. And so then we had me and Lee's version, and it was amazing, and it was perfect. I thought it was perfect. You know, fast forward a couple weeks, and Doug's. I'm driving home from somewhere, and Doug calls me. He's like, "Hey, man, Dolly Parton wants to be a part of this song. Like, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Why are you calling me? Let her do whatever she wants to do." Like, are you serious? It's Dolly Parton. Like, what? And so he's like, "That's what I thought you'd say." Okay. And I'm like, I don't feel like you needed to call me about that. I feel like you could have just been like, Dolly's going to be on your song. But yeah. And then literally like 4 weeks later, you know, I got a call from Doug again. He's like, "Hey man, like I have Dolly's version. You want to hear it?" I'm like, again, I feel like we're making phone calls we don't need to make.
Yeah,
man.
can you just like send the song?
Like, why are you doing this to me, man? Just send it. And so he sent it to me, and it, man, like the feelings that I felt when I first heard that song just came rushing back. And I had to pull over on the side of the road, and I just cried, man. And it was like, and it wasn't just the fact that like this song is what it is and that it means as much as it means to me. It wasn't just like, you know, what this song means and how much it means to me. It was the fact that like Lee and Dolly could have said no. Like they didn't have to be a part of this. Like, but they decided that they wanted, you know, the fact that they wanted to be a part of my song, but not only just a part of my song, but a part of my journey and a part of my story. And you know, that means more than they will ever know. And I don't think I can ever tell them thank you enough for, you know, not only, like I said, not only being a part of the song, but just like some guy who just started music, doesn't know anything about music, and they wanted to be a part of a song that I was doing, like that means so much.
Okay, again, Scotty, but back to the testament of you as a human being. I think anybody meets you and wants to be in your circle. I think they hear your story. I think they hear who you are as a person and are like, yes.
Yeah.
When people are just energizers and they have this, aura about them, people truly gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
And bad people, sure. But like good people too, like a Lee Brice and a Dolly Parton.
Oh, man.
If Dolly Parton wanting to be on it doesn't tell you what an energizer you are.
Man, it's insane. You know, the craziest part is I have a song with her, still haven't met her yet. So that's on the bucket list still.
That has to happen.
I have to meet Dolly.
And did you ever meet Trace, knowing that this song is part of that?
I met Trace way before music was ever a thing. It was one of the first Opry shows I ever went to. I went to an Opry show with some other veterans. There was like an outing that they were doing for veterans, and I'd always wanted to go to an Opry show, and I never got the chance. And I went, and I got to meet Trace, which was crazy. And I was like, man, like your song "Till the Last Shot's Fired" like changed everything for me. And then, you know, fast forward a little bit, and I remember Doug called Trace, and we were talking to him because originally I was like, man, I would love to do this with Trace. That would be so cool. Like, you think we can do that? And that was like, and originally when he was like, let's send it to other artists and see. And I was like, Trace maybe that would be great. Like, can we do that?
You're like, I know he already has this song, but like, can we do it with him?
And you know, what's amazing is we were on the phone with Trace, and he said, you know, I already have my version. He said, let Scotty make his own. And I was like, okay, like, that's cool. You're cool. Yeah.
But that's also the recognition that like he heard your song.
Yeah, it was just like, you know, like it's let Scotty do this. Like let Scotty have his, you know, and it wasn't like it was just amazing, like just the understanding that he's like, man, if I do another version of this, it's gonna be another Trace song. Like let Scotty have his moment. And it was so cool. It was so cool to just hear that. And for, you know, I mean, a part of me was kind of like, oh, dang, man, like Trace would have been cool. But, you know, a part of me understood and was like grateful that he was like, Scotty needs to have his version. It was just really cool.
Well, I'm going to manifest for you that you guys get to have your own collab and it's just a new song.
I would love that. I would love to do a collab.
Maybe another one you wrote, you know,
Why
something
not?
cool like
Go
that.
ahead.
I like it.
That'd be cool.
Well, man, Scotty, I'm so happy you came on and shared your story and all the pieces. And I hope everybody goes out and supports you. You want to shout out your social media page so they can go like follow you?
Yeah, it's literally at Scotty Hasting Music everywhere.
Perfect. You made it simple, easy.
Super easy. Absolutely.
So go stream it, go support him and all the stuff that he's incredibly doing, not just in music, but also with creative vets and the story that he's trying to share and get out with the world. So Scotty, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been wild. It's been a wild year, and it's looking even crazier now.
I was going to say, it's probably only going to get more wild for here.
Oh, man, it's
but that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
thank you.
Thanks, Scotty.